Why, hello, everybody on YouTube. I do hope that you are having a wonderful day. Today, we are going to be talking about how everyone is arguing about PlayStation. We have some stories about PlayStation, the PlayStation earnings. I'm going to do my best on this one because there was so much that came out of the PlayStation earnings call where PlayStation has their web transcripts online. They did live translation of the event, and people are saying that the quotes, which are quoted directly from PlayStation, are incorrect. It's very strange to me because everybody's arguing about the definition of PlayStation and what they're saying, and I kind of feel like they're out there fighting ghosts. None of this is bad. PlayStation's not abandoning hardware. PlayStation's not doing anything crazy. They've kind of hit the apex of where they're going to with console sales. They might surpass the PlayStation 4, which would be great for them. But right now, they're making it clear that hardware is going to be less of an emphasis for them because hardware is obviously at the top of the bell curve and will probably start going downwards as it has for every console generation for PlayStation. And people seem to think that their talk about having less influence on hardware means they're abandoning hardware. And one question I always have is, why does it have to be so absolutist? It doesn't have to be that concrete of a definition. I think what's going to happen is that PlayStation will probably still talk about their console sales numbers, but they are aware with the rising costs of everything in life that they're probably not going to sell a ton until probably GTA 6 comes out. I personally think GTA 6 could be the moment that puts them over the top in terms of console sales on the market. And I think we're just going to have to wait and see what ends up happening. But I don't think any of it's a big deal. I don't think anything that they said in their earnings call was a big deal. I think it's very interesting to see people react to this. That's what's been so surprising to me, because none of it is controversial or like a weird or crazy take. It just is, right? It just is what is happening, and it's really not that big of a deal. It's smart on places to diversify. And if we look, so I believe that earnings call, so they're at 83 million units sold or something like that. They're not really focused on console sales. Console sales continue to do quite well. They were within 2 million last time. Really, the whole conversation is around this one particular quote, which is surprising because it's not that big of a deal, in my opinion. Here's the quote specifically that started going around. Sony Senior Vice President Sadahiko Hayakawa says they are gradually shifting their gaming business from a hardware-centric business model to a community and engagement-based platform business model. In the gaming business, we are moving away from a hardware-centric business model more to a platform business that expands the community and increases engagement. Now, this isn't anything different than they have said since 2017. I saw people quoting them as far back as 2017 saying that this isn't necessarily their focus. But I think the reason people are calling this out is because for so long, fanboys have held up the console sales as some sort of key metric that is very important to them. Everybody else, Xbox, PlayStation, everybody, even Nintendo in the business world, they're talking about monthly active users. Now, Nintendo, obviously, they're off on their own island by themselves. They're doing very well. But everybody seems to be convinced that this means, oh, PlayStation's getting out of the hardware business. No, they're not. And I don't think most people actually believe that. I don't believe that. I don't think Xbox is getting completely out of the hardware business either. I think they're going to have a drastically different Xbox in the future. They are still going to continue doing what they're doing, but a key metric for them isn't going to be how many PlayStation 5s they sold. The key metric for them is going to be monthly active users. And it's not just the console. They're talking about users and expanding where they launch their games. Everybody's like freaking out about this one statement. So here it is written out. Let's listen to it.
Catalog. And for example, in the music business, the music streaming and EMI music publishing has been acquired, and then we increased the music catalog.
Yeah, I'm listening
And
wrong,
as
Paris.
I
You're right.
mentioned in the speech and in gaming business, and moving away from a hardware-centric business to more to the community-based engagement business, and then that has been increasing. So now, as we make more transition to entertainment creation, the stability and the productivity, our performance is increasing. So this upward revision might not have been direct result of these. However, the music publishing and also acquisition of a music catalog, and then also the acquisition of a Crunchyroll, and these are the areas where we
Thank
are
you, Neil.
seeing growth. And as a portfolio, we have been expanding our businesses and also improving our profitability.
We're expanding our businesses and improving our profitability. Why in the world are fans on social media not getting it? They're going to make more money. It's a good thing for PlayStation. And I don't need to compare this to anything anybody else is doing. It's not necessary. It's not necessary to bring Xbox into the conversation. If we just look at what PlayStation's doing, it's not complicated. You guys are going to like third-party translations. This is what PlayStation, this is the PlayStation translation. This is what they said during their earnings call, during the Q&A section. It's a 45-minute presentation. I linked to the official site where you can go watch the whole presentation. They say some really juicy stuff about Bungie and Marathon in there that we're going to get to in a second. But this isn't a big deal. This means PlayStation is going to make a lot more money. Now, they're going to do it in ways that you might not like. They're going to figure out how to bring more games to PC. And there's even a lot of speculation that they're going to figure out how to bring more games more regularly to even platforms like Xbox. That's the theory. Because of the job posting that says that they're looking for ways to expand to PC and Xbox. This isn't like a gotcha. This isn't, it's just such a nothing burger. But everybody's making it out to be like the biggest thing ever. It's just Sony saying we're going to increase our profitability. That's it. So anyway, this has gotten everybody really, really riled up online. They're arguing. Oh yeah. And then there was this post where they said, no, Sony's statement doesn't say PlayStation is going multi-platform. PlayStation is already multi-platform. Destiny 2 is multi-platform. MLB has been multi-platform for years. And their future games are planned to be multi-platform also. Why? Because you have an increased profitability. This notion is only a notion on X, where the idea that you're going to hire somebody for $320,000 a year or $300-something thousand a year, and their grand strategy is going to be not to stop releasing games on PC and stop releasing on Xbox. Like, you guys gotta, that's not reality. That's not what they're hiring that person to do. They're hiring that person to figure out how they release on Xbox. That's right, Xbox, and how they release on PC and what that strategy looks like. And there's a whole team dedicated to figuring out how they're going to do that and still respect, the great games that PlayStation fans love. So I do think that they are going to get more aggressive with releasing their games on PC and on Xbox. That's my personal opinion. And that doesn't detract from anything about the PlayStation brand. It means the PlayStation brand is going to be more profitable and more powerful, which means maybe they can release more than two exclusives a year. Now, I honestly, there's so many great games right now. There's like Battlefield, that's a multi-platform game. There's, Metal Gear Delta coming out at the end of the year that I've been excited for. There's Ninja Gaiden 4, which would have been nice to get a preview of, just saying. There's all of these games. There's all of these games coming out right now and all of these games to play that I don't actually mind if PlayStation decides to focus on only 2 tentpole exclusives a year, especially now that Marathon's moved to 2026. We'll see about that one. But I just wanted to give my 2 cents. I think a mountain is being made out of a molehill here. I think PlayStation has been telegraphing that they have a focus on monthly active users for nearly a decade now. And I think the only caveat to it all is that as we're at the bottom, we're like on the other side of the bell curve for the console generation. People who really focus on that start getting really nervous about I don't know, console sales or something. And for me, I'm just like, who cares? They did tremendously well with the PlayStation 5. Why is this threatening whatsoever? I really don't get it, if I'm being totally honest. And I literally laughed out loud out of this article. I just quote tweeted and said lol, because I'm like, what are you doing? No, that's not what it means. It doesn't mean they're going multi-platform. They are multi-platform. What even is this article? They've been multi-platform for years. It's because in their mind, they think it means the same thing that Xbox is doing. That's really why. And I don't know if it's like the only way that they think of things in black and white like that. But even if you look at it in a vacuum, I just don't get it, if I'm being totally honest. PlayStation, the end of the story is PlayStation's going to make a lot more money. And here's what they said. We did a live, this is making the rounds too. They talked about it in this presentation. She doesn't say anything. She says like one thing for some reason, and they didn't let her say anything
I have a number of questions I'd like to get to today. I'm going to start with the platform business. As Sony Interactive Entertainment and the industry as a whole move towards multi-platform gaming, how will you protect the value of the PlayStation console?
The PlayStation experience is...
Let's listen to what he said again, because this guy works at PlayStation. This is all scripted.
Platform gaming. As Sony Interactive Entertainment...
As Sony and the rest of the industry move toward multi-platform gaming. They say it.
As Sony Interactive Entertainment and the industry as a whole move towards multi-platform gaming, how will you protect the value of the PlayStation console?
Guys, so like they're going multi-platform, more so than they already have. They're already multi-platform. And here's Herman Sol's response about how they're going to protect the value, which is what PlayStation fans, I think, are most concerned about.
The PlayStation experience is not just about the gaming console hardware, nor it's not just about the content as well. It's an experience in a community that shares this excitement. For over 30 years in the past, we've been committed to being the best place to play and publish. And this has helped us establish a dedicated community of 124 million players and then invaluable network over the 4,000 creators. PlayStation console experience is designed to enable immediate gameplay in an immersive and accessible way. We're doing this in a completely integrated way, designing and manufacturing all aspects from the chips to the backend system. And we continue to look for new and innovative ways to broaden our reach and bring our content and a service to the players. The value of the PlayStation console is that still the best place to play, and it's growing as we reach an even broader audience.
And you're quite right that we're continuously exploring new ways for players to interact with their franchises. It's important to realize that we're really thoughtful about bringing our franchises off console to reach new audiences, and that we're taking a very measured, a very deliberate approach in doing that. Particularly on the single player side, our tentpole titles, there's such a differentiated, the point of differentiation, I should say, for the PlayStation console. They're real showcases of the performance, of the quality of the hardware. So we want to ensure that players get the best experience from these titles. And we're very thoughtful about how and if and how we bring these titles to other platforms.
So they're taking a measured approach. They're being careful, but they literally gave this presentation not that long ago. And now during the earnings call, they're reiterating what they said. They said there's less of a focus on the hardware and it's more about community and community experiences and monthly active users. There's nothing to be angry about. There's nothing crazy going on here. And honestly, if I thought about where they could possibly be bringing their games, there's one platform with 30 million users that would love to play their games. And I don't think there's any value proposition lost if PlayStation were to ever bring something like The Last of Us to the Xbox platform at this point. If you're a PlayStation gamer, if The Last of Us or God of War or Spider-Man comes to Xbox, are you going to throw your PlayStation in the garbage? Are you going to cut it in half with a chainsaw? I mean, if that is your reaction, I think you should definitely talk to somebody, because those games have been out for years. All those games have been out for long enough that I don't think bringing them to the final platform really, or like, what if they bring them to Switch? If they bring Spider-Man and Last of Us 2 to Switch, or Last of Us Part 1 to Switch, is that going to be a problem? Or is it just if it comes to Xbox? Because they're coming one way or another. Make no mistake here. They're either going to come to the Xbox platform via the new infrastructure that's being developed at Xbox, where it's more of a Windows-based box and you can launch Steam on it and launch your Steam games on it. Those Steam games include games like Spider-Man, which I tested and verified with the ROG Xbox Ally X. You want to know what the future of gaming looks like? It looks like the ROG Xbox Ally X, the Steam Deck, etc. PlayStation, the rumors are that they're developing a handheld also. So they're going to be getting in on the fun beyond the PlayStation Portal, which a lot of people love.